So today we're going to talk about how to visually represent sets of data. First, we need to make some definitions. So the median, which we might have heard before, is the middle number when the data set is in order. The range is the difference, so we're subtracting, between the largest and the smallest numbers. So the way we organize it can look like this with the X's. Those are all my data points. And this is showing the number of touchdowns scored by each of the 16 teams in the National Football Conference in a recent year. So to find that median, which is your middle number, we can X out or count in until we find the number in the middle. So what I found was that the number in the middle was between these two X's. This number looks like it's about 37.5 because it's over 37 but not quite at 38. So then the percent of teams that scored 30 touchdowns or less. So here found 30 and it says less. So 30 and then less. There was 4 teams that scored 30 or less touchdowns, and there were 16 teams in total. 4 divided by 16 gave me 0.25, and then as a percent, that's 25%. So now let's talk about how to make it look like a box and whisker plot and what that means. So this is what a box and whisker plot looks like. It's a diagram that is made using the median, the smallest number, and the biggest number. So the smallest number is also known as your minimum. That's that first dot right there. A minimum is also called a lower extreme. Then we have the whisker. That's the first 25% of data until we get to the start of our box, which is called our Q1, our first quartile, or our lower quartile. Then we have another 25% of data, and we have this median, this middle line. That's our middle number. Then we have the next 25% of the data, and then we have our quarter 3, or our third quartile, or our upper quartile. That's the end of the box. We have our next whisker, which is the last 25% of the data. And then that point right there is my maximum or my upper extreme. That's my biggest number. The other two things you need to know are what's called the range, which we talked about earlier. That's the difference between the largest and the smallest. So between the largest and the smallest is my range. The box also has its own range. It's called the interquartile range. That's because it goes between the first quartile and the third quartile. So the IQR, or the interquartile range, is the distance of the box. You are going to use all of this information to analyze and compare different box and whisker plots.